out here got 7, 8, or 9 different babies, daddies to all these different kids. Why is that? Because they're looking for love in all the wrong places, because they never really had a father figure in their life to really show them what love was all about. And then when they got to an age, what type of man that she should allow into her life. All right? All right, here we go. Whites had to come into the black society and the culture and had to have a divide and conquer attitude to separate the family, taking the man away again. All right, the strategy. Look what happened. I'm gonna show you how the enemy uses the enemy uses the system. The strategy was the federal government came in to the black communities and pulled the black women aside. Look what happened now, because we know that during the 60s. There was something going on, which we call the women's movement, all right? We call it the women's movement, what's going on, right? And what they did was they classified the black women, pulled them aside and classified the black women as a minority. This was the first time that this happened, and it happened in 1964. Now, all along before this happened, the black family was together. Now, the government or the enemy uses the government or some white society to come in and pull the woman aside and say, you don't really need the man no more. We're going to classify you as a minority, and we're going to give you different rights. We're going to give you special privileges, right? We're going to give you special privileges, and you ain't got to depend on the man no more, all right? If you want to have a baby, fine. We'll take care of you. We'll create a system, welfare system. We'll create that. You got babies or whatever. We'll make sure you have that, and you don't need that man no more. But I didn't hear that going on in the white society. But here it is again. The fear of black masculinity in our society, in our community, they had to come in and have a divide and conquer attitude to separate the family again. All right? By creating something or a system to let the woman know you don't need him. We're going to give you special rights and privileges. You see? See how the enemy uses the system? All right. Here we go. The federal government set aside benefits and special privileges for the black women. You don't need that sorry man no more. He can't get no job and provide for you. So he ain't bringing enough money. We'll make sure if you got 3 or 4 kids, we'll give you $500, $600, $700, $800 a month. Well, I don't need him. I can have a baby. That's fine. I'll take care of my own child. You see? You see how they use subliminal things to come in to infiltrate the culture to bring separation and division? Huh? You see what happens? And it still goes on to this day. You got more single family homes in a lot, I ain't gonna say all, a lot in the black community. You see more women raising families than there is a man and a female in that family raising that family together. Right or wrong? All right, that's what happens. All right. Now, during that time, that was the women's movement or the women's liberation during the 60s. All right, they wanted to have their own rights. All right, now let's look at this thing. This started a division between black men and black women. There's a division. Here it is, divide and conquer. There it is right there. Because he didn't want the society because of the fear of the black man and the black masculinity, he had to bring division. And that's what created it. The black women said, well, I don't want nobody to tell me what to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't need you for nothing. The government will take care of me. I get on welfare and they'll pay me so much money per month. So you see the philosophy and see how the enemy uses that to tear away the black family? All right. Black women stopped fighting for the civil rights during the civil rights movement. They stopped fighting because the government came in. The enemy used them to come in and tell them that you're minorities. We're going to give you special privileges. We're going to take care of you. Don't worry about that man. He can't get a job anyway. He don't have the education. So we'll fill in and do what he's supposed to be doing, and you ain't got to worry about him no more. Huh? All right? So what they did was black women stopped fighting for civil rights and started fighting for women's rights. There comes the division. Divide and conquer. So now they have already been successful and splitting the family up during the slavery period. Now they come into the 60s, and even to this day, you even hear it even more so with women's rights. The women say, I don't need no man for nothing. Huh? So you see how the destruction of the black family, how they destroyed the black man, and the feminization comes now because the society is coming more geared to being womanized, and more purpose or more geared to women is for men. You can go back 100 years, and I like watching the old movies on Turner Classic Movies. You can see that society during that time was a man's society, but they took care of their families. All right? But as time went on, the fear factor of black masculinity, they had to divide and conquer again. So they had to put a new scheme. They had to put something new in place to make it seem good, to tear it apart again, and to keep it apart because they wanted to have control. All right? All right, let's continue on. Women's rights was never jeopardized in the black community because they fought alongside one another. They worked together as a team. There was never an issue there. That was a problem because we fought together. All right? The first priority in the black community was to fight against what? Racism. That was the key. Racism it wasn't just racism against black men. It was racism against all blacks, male as well as female. All right? Male as well as female. Black women wanted to be free of any boundaries of men telling them what to do. Where did that come from? We just made the statement that there was never a problem in the black community that jeopardized women's rights because the man he took care of his family, he took care of the wife, he went out there and supported the family and did what he had to do. There was no issue about women's rights. What are you talking about? Where did that come from? Where all this come from? We'll get into that 1 minute. Black men wasn't telling black women what to do from slavery to the 1960s, was it? Because they was fighting, struggling together to get the rights to be humans, be treated like humans, male and female. There was no woman against man, black men against black women, husband against wife. There was no such thing as that in the black community because we all were struggling for the same right, to be treated equal. That's all. And be given us our due and be treated like human beings. That's all we wanted. So the women's rights thing, that was a trick of the enemy to bring division again, to separate the man from the family. All right? That was the white woman's fight. That wasn't the black woman's fight because in the white community, let's be very carefully here, how the enemy does this. The white community with the white women, majority of them were very wealthy, had very good jobs, and the white men were telling the white women, you can't do this, you stay home, you're not going to work, you do as I tell you to do, I'll take care of the bills, bam, 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 bam. That was the white woman's struggle, not the black woman's struggle. The white woman they wanted more freedom because they felt that they were being controlled by, quote unquote, their husbands, because they made so much money and put them up in nice houses and they had all the things they wanted, and they felt that they wanted to have more freedom instead of being told what to do and when to do it. That was never an issue with the black woman, ever. So, but what happened was, but the black woman took on the fight of their white counterparts, of their white sisters, if I can say that. They took on that fight, but the black woman took on the fight, but they were never together in that fight together. They never really came together to fight together. Now, you may see it even more so today that they're coming together and fighting together for women's right to have certain things, women to be in certain positions in this world and in this country. But when you really look at it, all right, that was never an issue then. It's even more so as time has went on, they're coming together. But the black woman was not fighting a fight. In the beginning, it was a white woman's fight. And initially, that was their fight. But they joined it. And look what happened. That even created more division because it didn't bring the black woman and the white woman together. Because they still, the whites, whether they were male or female, still didn't like black people, whether they were male or female. You see what I'm saying? All right. Women start having babies. Black women began to say, I want to be free, and nobody's going to tell me what to do. Where did they get that from? They didn't get it from the black culture. That came from the white culture. They came from the white culture. You see how the enemy wanted to conquer and divide? All right. Let's look at this. Women started having babies out of wedlock. And that was a taboo during that time, up until that point. No, that was a no-no, because a woman, if a man loved that woman, he would marry her, then they would have children. Now, I'm not saying marriages didn't work out. All right, sometimes that's going to happen. You're going to have divorce, you're going to have separation. But generally speaking, if you had a baby, you were married. And if you had a baby out of wedlock, there was some consequences to pay. You were like blackballed and blacklisted. You know, you were not respected or treated very, very nicely during those days. All right, because it was a respect. It was a respect issue, not only for yourself, but for others as well, on what you represented. They called that loose women back during that time. But now it seems like nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore. All right? Now, I'm not downgrading anybody, but okay, everybody's entitled to a mistake. But have 5 and 6, 7 mistakes, the same, and back to back, having 7 different babies by 7 different men, there's an issue. There's a problem somewhere. And that's the enemy's job. All right? For you to get on welfare and not have a man be there to take care of you. Your husband. All right? All right. And a lot of women will say, all I need a man for is a baby. You see how the thinking has changed, and how the enemy has used society to dictate how he's going to have the minority community think. All right? I can be the mother. Now the mothers will say, I can be the mother and the father. And there was never a sisterhood between the blacks and white women. Never was. How can you be the mother and the father? You wasn't created for that, women. You were created to be the nurturer. You were created to be the support to that man and be his right hand, to support him. God didn't create you to be the leader, to be the protector, and be the provider. You're out of order. You're out of order. Praise be to God. Let's continue. The tactical art of war. And what does that mean? Let's continue on. This is some deep stuff, and I'm hoping that you're getting this and understanding what I'm saying here. When you want to destroy a stronger enemy, you have to get rid of the cultural perspectives of authority. And what was that? We just talked about that. The man. You got to get the man out of the picture. Get the black man out of the picture. Get him out. And then you can destroy the society. You can destroy their community. All right? The drugs will run rampant in the community. Stealing and murder and all this other stuff that's going on is happening a lot in the black community. Why? Because there's no authority there no more. There's no authority. All right? What do you have to do? You have to destroy the man in society, which I just said. Once you get to that point of destroying the man, society is going to fall. And it's been happening since the beginning of time. It just had progressed. It takes time, and as time goes on, it gets worse, it gets worse, and it gets worse. All right? The only way it's going to stop and get better is when Jesus comes back. That's it. All right? You have to destroy the masculine principle, which is the man authority, which is the male figure, which is the leader, the protector, and the provider, which is the head of the family. All right? You have to destroy that until you get to a point of understanding what man represents, or how created him, and how powerful that means in God, because there's an order. There's God, there's Jesus, there's man, and there's woman. That's the order. And once you take something out of that figure, or out of that sequence, then something's going to fall. You know, yes, God still speaks to Jesus, and he speaks to women, but where's the authority figure there? The authority figure is missing. So then you're going to have a fall off, and there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be happening in society that's going to suffer because of that, because there's no true authority figure there. All right? You got to get rid of the environment and the ways and means for the head or the authority of that family to become and stay that authority. And how does that happen? How does that man in the realm of the house, in the realm of the home, in the community, in the church or his job, how is that done? Well, let's look at this. The authority of the family becomes and stays that authority, and for the head of the family to be the provider, the protector, and the leader of that family, you have to take away the means of providing. You got to take it away. When you separate him, and when there's no education there for him, when there's no support there to give him, and there's no jobs for him, what happens? Then he's unable to provide the necessary means for that family to survive, right or wrong. If you take away that means of providing and protecting, you take away the leadership ability of guiding that family, then what happens? The family falls, the society falls. Everything falls is predicated on that. All right? He no longer has any rights or any kind of power whatsoever, right? Because it's been stripped. What did we talk about in the first part of this message when we talked about this last week? We talked about Kunta Kinte, and we talked about the movie Roots, on how when he was brought to the New World, which is here in the States, in the Western world, his name was called Kunta Kinte, but the slave master wanted to re-indoctrinate him. What did I say earlier? He had to come in to divide and to conquer. Same thing, same principle. What he had to do, he had to break his spirit. Right? And every time he would ask him, what's your name? He said, Kunta Kinte. And the master was telling him, your name is Toby. And every time he said Kunta Kinte, he would hit him with the whip. And he kept saying, what's your name? Kunta Kinte. He hit him again, real hard. He kept doing it over and over again until he broke his spirit. When he couldn't take it anymore, he said, what's your name? He said, Toby. And that's when the indoctrination period began, to reprogram him to think the way the master wanted him to think. Same way in the society today. They stripped the man of everything. They stripped the man of his pride by taking away the means for him to make a living for his family. They take away the means for him to be the protector of his family, and they take away his authority of being the leader of that family. Then what does he have left? He has nothing left. So what does he do when all these things have been taken from him or been stripped from him? He loses power. What becomes of him? Well, when you have done all that, you undermine him, which is the glue. The man is the glue that keeps the family together, that keeps the society together. All right, he is the glue. But if you put heat to that, or you put pressure on that, that glue is eventually going to give. Like I said with Kunta Kinte, he gave in, or he submitted to that power of authority that was over him at the time, and gave in because it broke his spirit. Now he's subjected to the rulership of somebody that he doesn't know, and now he's going to rule his life and tell him what to do. All right. So what happens is the family breaks apart because there is no more authority figure in the family. All right. Then the men don't have to be the men don't have to be men anymore. Why is that? Because he has no means of providing. He has no means of protecting his family, and then the authority of him being that leader in that family, in that community, has been stripped from him or been taken. All right. So now what happens is that. So what's the best thing for him to do, since you are giving all the privileges and all the accommodations to the women? Now you're giving all these things to them. So I might as well be a woman, or act like a woman, or do these things and be and take on the characteristics of being women. I'm not saying all men. I'm just saying, generally speaking, you will see more so in the black community of how this has happened, the feminization of the black man. All right, because he has been emasculated by being beat, not physically beat, but beat by taking the means away of him making a living, being the protector of his family, as well as being stripped of his leadership and authority in the family. So now he's become submissive to the world system, or the enemy, to the ones that's over him, and then he becomes feminized. Praise be to God. Good God from Zion. Whoa! This is powerful stuff here. Wow. Well, white society is involved in their genetic survival. You got to believe that. I don't care if you believe that. It's happening because they are